We're going to talk about something that Jason Black or the Manosphere is not going to tell you. The fact that the US dollar is on the verge of collapse because of BRICS, as well as the banking system. According to Moody investors, they're basically saying that the banking system is at a fragile state. But never fear, 3V is here. I'm going to give you guys the intel on how you guys can get ready and prep. While on the other side of YouTube, they're worried about buffoonery, coonery, and foolishness, okay? Over here, we are really worried about the business, men's empowerment, and of course, shout out to the ladies. You know what I'm saying? Now let's get it popping.
Russia will begin using the Chinese yuan for international payments instead of the dollar. Saudi Arabia is also in talks with Beijing to do the same thing. Speaking of Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, they're in talks with Iran as well to consider an economic alliance with China and Russia. And they can even be joining the BRIC countries, which is an acronym for these countries here, Brazil, Russia.
Now, keep in mind the countries that you see, Brazil, Russia, China, right? These are all countries that have been on the petrodollar, the US dollar standard worldwide, and they want to get off of it. You look at a country like India. India is an emerging economy, right? South Africa, too, although there's some issues there. But they want to get off the dollar. And now, if you look at where we're at economically in America and financially, and with the type of leadership that we have at the helm, they are actually in a position where now is actually the best time for them to do it. So let's continue.
India, China, and South Africa, these countries all have emerging economies. So what happens if our economy and the U.S. dollar are no longer the world's dominant currency? Former Assistant Treasury Secretary and host of the Monica Crowley podcast, Monica Crowley, is here to weigh in. Monica, great to see you this morning. Let's start right there.
And before Monica goes in, because I know she will, I don't think that the average man between the ages of 15 or 35 is really aware of this. And when I say the average man, I'm talking about the average man, particularly in these men's spaces like the Manosphere and self-improvement groups, because they're too busy focused on women, okay? Now, once again, this is what you need to be focused on. Now, most men over the age of 35, I'm assuming they are aware of what's going on financially or geopolitically. However, you'd be shocked to know how many men don't. And this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this.
What happens if these emerging economies move away from the U.S. dollar towards the Chinese yuan?
Well, good morning, Will. It's great to be with you. And it's really hard to overstate exactly how catastrophic the abandonment of the U.S. dollar would be as the world's global reserve currency. Look, since the end of World War II, the dollar has been the safe place to go, and it's been backed up by a couple of things. It originally was backed up by gold, but President Nixon took us off the gold standard, so there's no hard asset backing up the dollar anymore for the last 50 years. But also it's been backed up by the strength and economic power of the United States and the fact that oil has always been traded in dollars. If that were to end, that would mean the end of the U.S. dollar. Look, there is a perfect...
She's right. It would be the end of the dollar. And, I mean, the dollar is not going to go away in a week or in a month or even overnight. It'll probably take some years for it to really disappear, but the effects would be felt immediately. We're talking about hyperinflation, something that we're already dealing with globally, not just in the United States. And then you also, so what does hyperinflation mean? You're talking about you're paying $10 right now for a carton of eggs, right? That price would double. Chicken wings are what, $20 right now? That price could easily double overnight. So food prices, gas prices, those prices will go up instantly. It would be a very, very bad situation because of the two reasons. Number one, America still hasn't recovered yet from the '08 recession, right? All we basically did was just delay it. And by doing so, this type of event that we are looking at is catastrophic, like she said, because not only are you going to be we're already dealing with a food shortage, right? rising gas prices and hyperinflation. But now you're dealing with the fact that the dollar might be usurped. And when was the last time this happened? You know what I'm saying? The dollar has been in place for over 100 years, maybe even longer than that. You know what I'm saying? Now, before the dollar, of course, we were talking about the pound, but the dollar has been the head honcho for a long time. Once again, pay attention.
Storm happening right now, Will. The world's reserve currency being that, having that status has been a real privilege, but we've abused the privilege by wholly reckless monetary and fiscal policies over many years, certainly over the last couple of years, which has really devalued the dollar. On top of that, now you do have this perfect storm of Biden.
Yeah, the dollar basically has lost 90% of its value from, from 1915 or something like that. I mean, the last 100 years, the dollar has lost 90% of its value. You got to remember the last 3 years, over 30% of money was printed because of the stimuluses that we've been dealing with. Once again, why is nobody talking about this in the Manosphere? Why is Jason Black not talking about this? This is urgent. This is pressing.
Weakness, his war on American domestic energy production, the Ukraine war, and as you point out, because of all of these things, we've got America's enemies led by China forming a new economic bloc. And all it would take at this point now, because we're at this pivotal moment, Will, is for Saudi Arabia, who has indicated that they're open to this, to say, you know what, we're going to be open to considering other currencies to trade in oil. If that were to happen, there would be a complete implosion of the global economic system, but certainly the American economic system. And if that were to happen, you'd be looking at sky-high inflation, just raging Weimar Republic kind of inflation. If you think inflation is bad now, just...
Yeah, I mean, she's right. To wrap this up, so if you think inflation is bad now, guys, what we're talking about is something that hasn't been experienced probably since the Great Depression. You're going to see gas prices double literally overnight. Literally. You're going to, well, not maybe overnight, but definitely in the same week, right? Food prices are going to be crazy. It's going to be pandemonium because people are going to be doing bank runs and grocery store runs. And what happens if you in a situation now where bank runs happen? Well, what that means is people are running to the banks to withdraw them. Now, there was a survey that was taken because of what happened recently, the Silicon Valley Bank, right? That over 189 banks are illiquid. So what does that mean? It means that if the clients or customers want to take their money out, the banks don't have the money to cover their whole clientele. So basically, it's going to be something that you've never, ever seen before, okay? And my only advice is this. If you have money in the bank, keep what you need bill-wise, but try to withdraw as much cash as you can. If you can get into gold and silver, do that. If you can get into crypto, hold some XRP, XLM. I talk about that on my Patreon, okay? Do that. But the reality is that this is coming sooner than later. And it wouldn't shock me if within 2 months, guys, 2 months, you're going to see some drastic changes happening. And the reality is that a lot of people are not ready. A lot of people are sleeping and they're not paying attention. And so this is why I'm making this video, because I don't want you to be caught slipping. You heard what they said. Now it's time for you to take action. Anyway, God bless. It's your boy Jones and I'm out. Peace.